Sonic super forms that never were. The other day, I reacted to a video similar to this, and in the midst of it, asked y'all if y'all wanted to see me animate one of these forms over on my main channel. I know y'all wanted to see a lot of the transformations, especially Starburst Sonic. For some reason, that's the form that y'all want to see the most. And don't worry, someday I'm gonna deliver it. And if you're probably thinking, oh my gosh, he's gonna take so long. No, literally like 2 days after I reacted to that, I made the silver video that had Miracle Silver in it. And a lot of y'all thought that the video I posted with Sonic going through a bunch of transformations against Goku and me, y'all really thought that was inspired by that reaction. No, bro, I made that script like weeks ago, way before I ever even reacted to that video. So that video had nothing to do with the reaction. And I had to make that very clear to some people in the comment section. I didn't get to everybody because there's too many comments, but a lot of y'all I responded to. But the Miracle Silver video, it did have everything to do with that video.
Perfect.
What if Sonic used the Soul Emeralds to transform instead of the Chaos Emeralds? And what would a Light Gaia form look like, an opposite to his Werehog transformation? Today I'm going to be exploring a whole bunch of the super forms from the Sonic franchise that we never got to see, but totally should have. I've got new forms for Sonic as well as a few other characters, so definitely stay tuned. There's a really cool one for Shadow near the end. Oh, and if you have any ideas for super forms I don't mention here, be sure to let me know down in the comments. I might cover them in a future video.
Yeah, let him know, because I would like to see these new forms so I can bring them to life later on down the line. Because all they do is just draw them for Beware, and then he displays the picture on his video. I could animate them and bring them to life.
Alright, let's do it. Up top, at this point, Sonic is very well attuned to Chaos Energy. He used the Chaos Emeralds countless times to transform into Super Sonic, even intuiting how to use Chaos Control on his very first try while using a fake Emerald. He may not rely on using Chaos Energy as much as Shadow, who teleports around and sends energy blasts flying at every given opportunity, but we know he can if he wanted to. What we aren't sure about is if he could use Soul Energy, the alternate universe equivalent to the Chaos Emeralds. The Soul Emeralds are the governing power of Blaze the Chaos.
Hey, Blaze.
Just like Chaos Emeralds, they allow you to turn your thoughts into power and to travel through time and space. Although they never actually call it this, I like to think this is called Soul Control. The Soul Emeralds are what Blaze uses to cross over into Sonic's dimension, and when she harnesses all 7, she transforms into Burning Blaze, a super form with the typical enhanced speed, strength, and vulnerability, but her flame powers are also amplified greatly. She burns hotter than a star and can melt pretty much anything. So what if Sonic tried using the Soul Emerald?
I've never put Blaze in a skit, ever. I need to incorporate Blaze in a skit when I finally bring out my Sonic the Hedgehog OC. His name is Lightning the Hedgehog, and he has 2 other people with him for his team. I said I would put him in a video. I'm going to put him in a video at some point in time. Don't worry.
Well, the boring answer is that he would just turn into Super Sonic. We know the Soul Emeralds already basically mimic the Chaos Emeralds in every other way, but I think the important thing to understand here is that all of these emeralds turn thoughts into power. So sure, if Sonic had no idea what the Soul Emeralds were, he'd probably just get a regular super form out of them. But that's not the case. He knows Blaze, they're good friends, and he knows they come from her dimension. I can't imagine him using the Soul Emeralds without thinking of her and her transformation into Burning Blaze, and because of that, his thoughts would affect their power. I think they would transform him into Soul Sonic. In this form, Sonic would light up with burning heat, different from his normal golden glow. I think the energy of his aura would actually be like explosive sparks, mimicking the ignition of an engine as he burns hotter and hotter. On top of his flight, speed, and strength and vulnerability, Soul Sonic would also have fire and spark-based abilities, igniting a swarm of explosions with a wave of his hand, blasting forward to drastically increase his speed in short bursts, and passively melting anything he stands too close to. And
This is the stuff I'm talking about. Why don't Sega and the corporations think of this stuff? How the hell is the fans? You know what? That's not even a mystery. Fans have always been better at making their own product than the damn company. Have you seen the modded community? The mod community made Xenoverse 10 times better, 10 times funner in any game I could think of, even the Sonic games. You put 10 of the best minds from your fan base in a room with you, they'll give you the best quality product, $1 million idea. Bro, imagine having a game with this nigga in it. If him and Blaze get a new game, because you know Sonic Rush was that game. If they get a new game and it was concentrated around the Soul Emeralds and this is the form that came out of it, oh my gosh, Sonic will be on the He'd be past the moon at this point.
When he goes all out, he could collect bursting fire energy in his hands to form a miniature sun-like ball of burning plasma that he can throw and completely atomize anything standing in his way. Of course, if we're giving Sonic a form using the Soul Emeralds, we have to be fair. What would it look like if Blaze the Cat used the Chaos Emeralds? Burning Blaze specifically amplifies her flame powers to an impossibly high degree, no pun intended. She can launch gigantic fireballs and flame kamehamehas, or blast off smaller ones rapidly, and even cloak herself in fire to turn into a giant blazing phoenix. If she received a super form from the Chaos Emeralds, I think her appearance and abilities would be affected just like Soul Sonic. She'd be influenced by her thoughts and memories of Super Sonic and change accordingly. This is Super Blaze. Now,
woo! Super Blaze look cold. Hold up. Shout out to that artist that made this picture. Hold up. Shout out to Soul Spacio. I believe he's on Twitter. Yo, shout out to all these artists making these forms. Y'all are fantastic. Y'all are really giving people ideas. And I hope Sega's watching this just to get some ideas. They need to go back to doing what they did with Sonic and the Secret Rings, Sonic and the Black Knight. That would be great. I would love to see what Sonic would look like if he actually used all 7 of them rings instead of 3 in Sonic and the Secret Rings. Let's go back to the storybook series, okay? That was one of the best series in Sonic history.
Is Super Blaze. Now, this doesn't mean that she would lose her inherent fire abilities. Silver doesn't lose his telekinetic powers when he transforms into Super Silver, but I think the way they manifest would definitely change. Because Sonic is all about speed, I think Blaze's perception of him and his personality would alter her flame powers in this state. Instead of using fire offensively, throwing blasts of flames at enemies, I think Super Blaze's fire would become primarily about propulsion. She'd be like a rocket, blasting fire out of her feet and from her back to soar around at ludicrous speeds. While Burning Blaze is a long-range fighter that uses fire as a projectile, Super Blaze would become a living missile, rocketing her body through anything standing in her way. By the way, the original designs for Soul Sonic and Super Blaze are by the artist Soulspace on Twitter. They also did the art for a few of the other forms in this video, so definitely check them out. I linked that profile in the description. Up
Thank
next,
you.
Knuckles
Thank you.
has had a really...
So glad that he actually like plugs their social medias in. A lot of people don't. Shout out to y'all artists, man. Go follow them, man. They really good at what they do. They deserve the support.
rough go of things in the super form department. I know modern Sonic team is really only interested in giving super forms to male hedgehogs for some reason, but Knuckles literally had his own transformation in his debut game. I can understand that giving Tails or Amy a super form can feel a little odd, but Knuckles has always had an affinity for that sort of thing, which makes a lot of sense. He's the guardian of the Master Emerald, which rules over the Chaos Emerald. He has an innate connection to the Master Gem, he can sense its location and connect to its energies with his mind. He's one of Sonic's OG rivals who loves to fight and has plenty of experience with Chaos energy. So I don't know why we never see Hyper Knuckles anymore. Maybe because he's pink? Well, either way, I think I have a remedy. I think if Knuckles were going to have a super form that he regularly uses, it shouldn't be by channeling the power of the Chaos Emeralds, but the Master Emerald.
When we did see Hyper Knuckles, he was no joke. Matter of fact, if you go and read the Archie comics, it was Archie, Super Sonic, and Archie Hyper Knuckles. Bro, they collided. Fist caused the dimension they were in to freaking explode. Bro, they collapsed a dimension. Sonic was only in his super form.
As its guardian, he has a closer relationship to it than anyone. He should be deeply attuned with its energies and wavelengths, and we know it can grant a super form by itself. We see Mecha Sonic do it for a boss fight in those Genesis games. And obviously, it can transform the Chaos Emeralds into Super Emeralds. So I think there should be a new form entirely unique to the last remaining Echidna, Master Knuckles. In this form, Knuckles would merge with the Master Emerald, granting him the flight, strength, and speed of a super form, but with a twist. I think Master Knuckles should have the specific ability to manipulate other sources of energy.
If this was a thing, he should be the coldest Echidna walking. Matter of fact, forget that. The coldest thing walking. He has the power of the Master Emerald. The power of the Master Emerald can turn regular emeralds into super emeralds. I want y'all to understand the magnitude of power that this man would possess. The Master in its full totality. This man would be literally the coldest thing walking in all of Sonic. Think about that. It takes 7 super emeralds to go hypersonic. It takes 1 super emerald to go ultra or 1 billion power rings. He not only has the power that gave the emeralds the ability to go super, but he has 50x that. Yo.
Absorbing and redirecting chaos energy, electrical power, even soul energy, in the same way that Knuckles managed to knock Supersonic out of his transformation with a cheap shot in Sonic 3, Master Knuckles can completely absorb or neutralize the power of other godly beings.
You know what's crazy? I've never done a Knuckles skit in my life. I need to incorporate Knuckles and incorporate this form specifically.
Sapping all of the energy from Eggman's machines and turning off or boosting the super forms of other characters. Beyond that, he should have a minor form of omniscience. Using with the gem should let him see the world in a new way. Peer into events happening across the world, get visions of the future, and look into the minds of those around him. But this incredible power has a major drawback. He's not invincible. We've seen the Master Emerald be shattered multiple times before, and Master Knuckles is the same way, actually more fragile than his base form. If he takes too much damage, he'll return to normal, and the shards of the Master Emerald will be scattered all across the planet, so it's a calculated risk anytime he chooses to use the form. But that is enough emeralds for right now. Instead, I want to explore a specific influence that we never got to see, Light Gaia.
Yay.
In the events of Sonic Unleashed, Eggman manages—
Oh, you mean the best Sonic game to ever exist and will always be the best ever to exist? Absolutely.
to crack the Earth apart by sapping the energy out of Supersonic and using it to awaken Dark Gaia, the evil god slumbering beneath the world's surface. As a consequence of this, Sonic's body was radiated and mutated by Dark Gaia's energy, transforming him into the Werehog, but also accidentally woke up Chip, an amnesiac Light Gaia. As the Werehog, Sonic loses his trademark speed, instead becoming a beat-em-up brawler with gigantic stretchy hands, sharp claws and teeth, and a fierce animalistic battle tendency. It's only during the day, when Dark Gaia's influence wanes, that Sonic returns back to his normal self. But what if we saw the opposite scenario? What if Eggman used his machine to pull the energy out of Supersonic and used it to specifically awaken Light Gaia? What if Dark Gaia was the one who woke up weakened and without his memories, and it was Chip's energy that altered Sonic's body? I think then, instead of Sonic the Werehog, we would get Sonic the Sprite Hog.
Ooh, that nigga cold! Oh my gosh! Yo, look at that man, bro! I'ma have so much fun with this.
This is the form that Sonic would uncontrollably transform into during the daytime, only returning to his normal body once the sun sets. As a Sprite Hog, his body takes on influences from Chip's Light Gaia energy. He grows wings and the ability to fly. Instead of stretchiness like a Werehog, this form can teleport short distances between sources of light, use natural energy to cause plants and animals to grow or assist him, and create illusory copies to trick or distract enemies. In this state, he's much more silly and prone to toying with enemies, a reflection of how he grew violent and angry as the Werehog. I think the Sprite Hog would ultimately be a temporary thing until the two Gaias return to their slumber beneath the Earth's crust. But while he's around, know that he is going to have a ton of fun. Now, this next one is not a transformation in the traditional sense, but I'm genuinely shocked that we haven't seen anything like it in the series before. Obviously, characters in the Sonic franchise can grow stronger by using the power of magical artifacts like the Chaos Emeralds, Phantom Ruby, even the Warp Topaz, whatever, but one way they've never leveled up their power that they totally should have by now is through fusion. With how much other stuff the Sonic series—
Hey, if you know, you know. Men and women of culture, we have arrived.
borrows from Dragon Ball Z, I'm surprised we never seen a fusion of Sonic and Shadow, the same way we got with Goku and Vegeta. There have been a ton of fan interpretations of this idea, the most popular being Shattuck, introduced in the—
If you know about Chakra X and the Wrath of Nazo, you sir, or you ma'am, are people of culture. I did a couple animations of this fusion actually, and I do plan on doing his other version. His name is Sano. I'm gonna incorporate him later on down the line. I don't know when, but I'm gonna do it at some point.
fan animation Wrath of Nazo by Chakra X.
If you never watched that, go watch it. Especially back then watching it as a kid, bro. Oh man, bro, it was so freaking lit. Bro, this was back in like 2000, I think 7 or 8. I don't remember, but it was so ahead of its time, and there's a reason why it got 60 million. It was so gas, bro.
Here, Sonic and Shadow fused by simultaneously using Chaos Control to warp to the same location, inhabiting the same space to become one being. And this is a seriously cool way to do it. If you wanted to be boring, I'm pretty sure the Chaos Emeralds could just fuse any character together through making a wish on them, sort of like how they were capable of bringing people back from the dead. But I really like the idea of fusion being an option to get stronger when the characters don't have access to all 7 emeralds. Just 2 is enough to activate the transformation. As for this new fused Hedgehog's abilities, obviously he'd be faster, stronger, and quicker on the draw than either of the 2 just working together. But he'd also be stuck with all of Sonic's cockiness and Shadow's arrogance, a potentially fatal drawback if anyone ever happened to manipulate his massive ego. In most of the fan works for a fusion between Sonic and Shadow, they choose a name that just smushes the 2 fusees names together, like in Dragon Ball. I've seen Shattuck, Shadnick, Sando, you get it. But the thing about Sonic characters, almost all of them are named after a trait of theirs. Sonic means the speed of sound, because he's fast. Tails is called that because he has 2 tails. Silver is Silver. So when 2 Sonic characters fuse, I think they should get a completely new name that reflects the new traits of this fused character. For example, if Sonic and Silver fused, I would call that new character something like Cobalt, because Cobalt is a metallic blue, a little like Sonic, a little like Silver. And when Sonic and Shadow fuse, they should have a name that represents that new fusion. Maybe Eclipse or Twilight as the perfect
Eclipse would be fire. Eclipse would be fire, I agree.
overlap of light and dark. Blitz, to emphasize his insane speed and ruthless efficiency. Or Zenith, the pinnacle of something, used to represent their impossibly big ego. If you have any cool names for fusions of characters, let me know down in those comments. If Sonic and Knuckles fused, I think I'd call him something like Sucker Punch. I could do this for days.
That was terrible. That was atrocious.
Speaking of potential forms for Shadow, we have a sort of worst-case scenario transformation, a very dark one. Shadow the Hedgehog is the creation of a lot of different forces. He's the genetic experiment of Dr. Gerald Robotnik, potentially based on ancient Echidna prophecies of Super Sonic, infused with the energy of the Chaos Emeralds, using the DNA of the intergalactic alien invasion force, the Black Arms. Led by Black Doom, they wish to use Shadow, the ultimate evolution of their genetic material, to make their conquest across the Earth and other worlds all around the galaxy.
Shadow Generations was better than Sonic Generations, respectfully.
But Black Doom failed in his mission. He was defeated and destroyed by Super Shadow when he tried to invade Earth during the events of Shadow 05. And when he managed to escape his fate by creeping into the Time Eater's void space during the events of Shadow Generations, he was defeated by Shadow again. But that second time, he planted a seed to assist in his plans. He unleashed his Black Arms DNA within Shadow, granting the artificial hedgehog new Doom powers, genetic mutations that let Shadow shoot, morph, surf, and fly with the powers of the Black Arms. At the end of the day, Shadow was able to accept the past, move on from his brief reunion he had with Gerald and Maria, and take down Black Doom for good. But what if he hadn't? What if Shadow had lost or willingly chose to succumb to Black Doom's influence, transforming him into the Black Arms pawn he was originally created to be? I call this form Doom Shadow. Completely given into his mutation, his body exists in a perpetual state of black goopiness. Everything that connected him to his past, to his original family, the air shoes Maria designed, the inhibitor rings Gerald built, they're covered up and drowned out by the black alien tendrils. His wings are permanent. He shifts effortlessly between his morph and surf abilities while stretching his limbs to attack anything even remotely nearby. His eyes are replaced by Black Doom's singular piercing one. His entire personality and mind overwritten as his body is treated as a puppet for no purpose other than conquest. As Doom Shadow, he's incredibly powerful, still able to tap into chaos energy, teleport and launch blasts from his hands, but now amped up with the full power of Devil Doom in his tiny body. With the Chaos Emerald, Doom Shadow would be practically unstoppable. But that's kind of scary, and I'd like to end things on a high note. So, a much more obvious super form that we never got, even though we absolutely should have, Sonic using the power of all 7 world rings.
I was just thinking about that, bro. I literally just said something about that. Bro, that's wild. I didn't even think it was gonna be in this video. That's crazy, that's crazy.
In Sonic and the Secret Rings, Sonic learns about the World Rings, these 7 hearts that together make up all of the stories of Arabian Nights. Prayers, sadness, rage, hatred, joy, pleasure, and wishes. Together, the 7 rings binds together the pages of this storybook universe. Sonic collects the rings in his race across the Arabian Nights, but during his final confrontation with the Racer Jin, he doesn't use all of them. After the death of his friend and guide Shahara, he only absorbs sadness, rage, and hatred, altering him into Darkspine Sonic. In this form, he becomes tremendously powerful, able to manipulate the elements associated with the 3 rings he absorbed: fire, darkness, and wind. He's strong enough to battle and defeat the terrifying Alf Layla Wat Layla, coating his hands and feet in fire as he bullies the demigod into submission. What we never got to see, though, was a hypothetical 7-ring Sonic. With his emotions in check and the full control of all 7 rings simultaneously, Sonic would be granted the incredible power over all of the Arabian Nights that a Racer Jin was originally trying to achieve. I call this form One.
Hold up. Buddy is cold. Yo, I gotta animate that. I gotta animate it. I got to. Oh, snap. I gotta animate it, bro. That is a gorgeous transformation. Oh my goodness.
World Sonic.
Woo!
A godly evolution of the imperfect Darkspine form, this would offer Sonic complete control over the very pages that contain the Arabian Nights. Essentially, he would be granted the power of the author to edit and overwrite anything he sees fit.
Oh, kind of like how he can do in the Archie comics. Cause Archie Sonic had author authority at one point. I don't know if the nigga still got it, but
Physically, he would command all the elements: wind, fire, light, darkness, but metaphysically, he would command all of the narrative elements that make up the world: joy, sadness, rage, wishes. One World Sonic would be the complete and total arbiter of this reality, but only this reality. The World Rings are ultimately a facet of the fictional universe within the Arabian Nights storybook, and even all 7 pale in comparison to the power of one single Chaos Emerald.
damn, wait a minute. Say that again.
Even all 7 pale in comparison to the power of one single Chaos Emerald, because the emeralds are actually real.
Okay, that sucks. It's locked into only that universe. Which, even if the form is in a damn certain universe, that don't negate how strong that form is. You rewriting reality. He can rewrite and edit anything that he sees fit in that reality. So if somehow One World Sonic had the ability to go outside of that reality that it commands, boy, he'd be a freaking unit. And he said that all of those rings pale in comparison to one single Chaos Emerald. That means that with one single Chaos Emerald, he could literally rewrite the damn story in the real world. But now that I think about it, bro, I gotta remember that in the Archieverse and even in the Gameverse, there are 2 different types of emeralds. Like, they work 2 different ways. They're both powerful. So I can't really say that the World Rings are like on the same level. I can't think like that, because the Chaos Emeralds are like, the way they're portrayed is not, it's like a fraction of what they really are. Cause I don't know if y'all remember the Genesis wave. It was the one that happened in the Archie comics. One Chaos Emerald was used to rewrite reality. So imagine if all 7 are used. You know what, now that I think about it, okay, I get it now. If all 7 World Rings are needed to rewrite reality, but only one Chaos Emerald is needed to rewrite reality, okay, I get it now. Okay, I understand. I had to really think about that for a second. Let me know what y'all think about this video in the comment section. And until the next time, I'll see y'all in the next video. Shalom.
Hey, listen.
Rose petals on the floor. The one from my dreams, and you're with me right now. Right here and now, I'll give you a taste. Snake princess, I'll be your gift.